Welcome back inside the lab, everybody. That is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. It's the Tuesday edition, jam-packed with NHL and fantasy hockey news from across the league, injury news. A lot of interesting takes coming out of this Vancouver Canucks camp. We got to break it down. Matt Boldy signs a big-time deal. And, of course, a big-time slate of bets coming at you. Thank you for joining us. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody, to your source for fantasy hockey and degenerate gambling news, the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Steel Roden. It's your boy, Big Flip Livingstone. We are holding it down Monday through Friday for all of the fantasy fanatics out there. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We see and appreciate you out there. Dropping comments, YouTube feedback, reviews. We wouldn't be here without y'all, and that's why we have to break down all of the news every single day, Steel, from the fantasy world of hockey. Today is spicy, my friend. We're going to start with the Vancouver Canucks. This kind of bombshell press conference from Jim Rutherford. Never seen something like that before. We're going to spend some time there. Matt Boldy securing the bag. Big time move from the Minnesota Wild. I know you have something to say about that, my friend. My boy Kochetkov getting sent down. You know I got to talk about that. And Evander Kane news out of the Edmonton Oilers. These are all very intriguing storylines, Steel, that probably have an impact on multiple listeners' fantasy teams. So tune in, tap in. We're going to get to the big time bets, but Steel, let's talk about all of this fantasy news. My mind is spinning. Busy day in the NHL. Why don't we start with this Vancouver Canucks situation, though, if you don't mind? Because I know you said you just caught wind of it. You've broken down some of the news. This is a wild situation for a dumpster fire season for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, and like you said, I didn't really see the interview live, so I think you might have more of some opinion on this more than I do. But Jim Rutherford, very straight to the point, very blunt. And like you said, this has been a dumpster fire of a season for the Vancouver Canucks. You know, overall, overall over the last few years, I do like the Canucks as an organization, but this year has been an absolute mess. Obviously with everything going on, clearly trying to take another shot at re-signing Bo Horvat, and Jim Rutherford just, again, straight to the point. He's looking to make some money this year. He's having a career year, and the money is on his mind. And unfortunately, they took one last shot at it. It's probably not going to get done, but there's just so many different things happening and so many different news coming out with this Canucks organization. Quinn Hughes making some comments about the Tanner Pearson injury that, he was supposed to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Now he could be potentially out for the next season. He's out for this season and could be out for the next season as well because of how poorly they handled the hand injury.
I didn't realize that.
He had 2 unsuccessful hand surgeries. And apparently, I don't want to confirm this right now, but what I had heard is that he has a pretty bad hand infection as well because of how poorly it was handled. That's why he might be out for next season. Quinn Hughes made some comments on it. Some hockey TV personalities kind of called out Quinn Hughes for commenting on it as well, saying that you shouldn't be talking about yourself or other teammates' injuries before the confirmation comes out. So, Jim Rutherford getting straight to the point, very blunt in his press conference. Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes, Tanner Pearson, even Elias Pettersson. I saw a tweet the other day. Elias Pettersson's agent came out and said that he wants to re-sign long-term with the Vancouver Canucks organization. He loves Vancouver, but he hates losing. So
there's always that caveat, isn't there?
There's always that caveat there, especially with a young talent like Elias Pettersson. So everything that has over the last 2 weeks has been just a little bit of a bombshell for all these Vancouver fans and hockey fans out there. And I'm really excited to see what happens for the Vancouver Canucks before the trade deadline with especially Bo Horvat and Brock Boeser.
it just seems inevitable that those two players are no longer going to be employed by the
Yeah.
Vancouver Canucks. This situation, Steele, is a developing one. And before I even get into my take on it, because there is a lot of ways, I've never seen a press conference like that.
Yeah.
Jim Rutherford also has multiple rings as a front office executive in the NHL. And say what you will about the job that he's done so far with the Vancouver Canucks, he was handed a very, very bad stack of cards to deal with the Vancouver Canucks situation, and he was blunt about it. They need to make changes, and they have so many bad contracts to deal with
Yeah.
that he's handcuffed and he can't make them. Is that maybe a bit of a cop out? Maybe. Is it very obvious? Maybe. But this situation is going 8 ways from sideways. Boudreau was hailed as a prince 1 year ago. Now he's ready to be gassed. They're bringing in Rick Tocchet. It's already almost a confirmed thing. This Tanner Pearson mess, trading your captain. Thatcher Demko doesn't play well, gets injured. This Pedersen thing from his agent, also Steele, for me, is comical because he says the things that, any agent would want to say to make his
Oh, yeah.
client look good. And then he throws in that caveat, but he hates losing. Well, pal, you might be in the wrong situation because something tells me there's a lot more losing heading the Vancouver Canucks way. And honestly, it's just something to maybe keep your eye on for fantasy value because let's say Horvat and other decent pieces this year so far, change in value could come if this Vancouver Canucks team starts selling off parts. Good and bad, right? Besser goes to Mini like you and I talked about. That could be huge steal. Ooh, nice segue. I didn't even mean to do that. Let's talk about your Minnesota Wild. I'm going to flick this over to you. Boldy, 7 years, $49 million deal, 21-year-old, 29 points this season. What's your take on this deal?
I absolutely love it. And I think Minnesota Wild fans love it too. Signing the young Kun, 7 years, $49 million. I think it's a really good contract as well, especially with the ceiling that
Seems
Matt
fair.
Boldy has. I think it's really fair with like with the ceiling that this kid has. And for me, just looking at his overall game, second season in the league, he's clearly not a player who comes into the league and takes over right away, with and be an immediate superstar in the league like his teammate Kirill Kaprizov, but he definitely has that star power potential. I can throw him in the same group, and you know how I feel about some of these other young guys. I'll throw him in the same group as Cole Caulfield, Tim Stutzla, Elias Pettersson, Matty Beniers. He's in that same group, and you know how I feel about those young guys, how they definitely have that superstar potential. Again, year after year after year, they continue to get better.
Okay.
It's been a little bit of a down season for Matt Boldy. Like you said, 29 points in 39 games or however many games he's played this season.
42, but you're
42
close.
games. And at the end of the season, he'll definitely have a career high because last year he only played 47.
Yep.
So no matter what, it's going to be an improvement year for Matt Boldy. But now that he's signed for 7 years, you locked up Kirill Kaprizov for the next 3 years, and after his contract ends, you're going to re-sign him again. Looking at salary cap as well and cap friendly.
Yes.
Hopefully they're able to re-sign Matt Zuccarello after his contract is up in 2024. He has a great veteran presence and plays great with Kaprizov on the top line. And this is just a great hockey market. Great hockey market and a great hockey team right now in Minnesota. And you said it yourself. If they're able to go out and make some trades, like, maybe this year, get a guy like Brock Boeser in the offseason. You're able to entice some more free agents to come play for your organization and join the young guys like Kaprizov and Matt Boldy and even guys like Sam Steele if they can develop a little bit more. Who knows what this team has in the future? I think it's a very high ceiling for the Minnesota Wild. I love this contract right now. And like I said, year after year, Matt Boldy is going to continue up the fantasy draft boards. He's going to get better and better every single season. And definitely a guy that I'm going to look forward to trying to draft in my team next season as well.
There's actually a bunch of interesting things that I could take away from what you just said. That's why I appreciate coming on this show every day and hitting you with this fantasy fire, people. By the way, we're going to talk Evander Kane. We're going to talk Kochetkov and the Hurricanes goaltending situation. And of course, pay these bills with big time bets at the end of the show. But very quickly, Steele, it's also interesting what's going on with the cap situation and some of these players coming up for the Wild this offseason. You mentioned Sam Steele, Kalen Addison, Philip Gustafson, RFA Matt Dumba. There's going to be some situations for Bill Guerin to navigate this offseason. And that was my second takeaway. And that's why I like this deal even more. I just trust in Bill Guerin. There's
Yeah.
something about, I like breaking down some of these GM angles. They might not mean so much right away on paper for your fantasy team, but when you see in money, in time, and decisions being invested in these players, maybe you should start thinking about investing them as well as good options for your fantasy team. Good option for you to be placing bets like Steele and I do every single night these days. You got to go to betonline.net. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis this season and every season. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to the basketball, hardcourt, and everything in between, they have you covered at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts just like you love this one, you can find even more of them over at BetOnline as well. They always have the easiest and fastest ways for you to get all of your betting info and odds and analysis like Steele and I hit up every single night. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That's BetOnline, where the game starts.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. So make sure you go hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love and all the support that our listeners show us. So thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. We're definitely going to get to big time bets later. Hopefully, we can keep the run going right now and keep hitting these locks of the night and all three of our picks as well. But
not bad.
A little bit more information throughout the NHL right now. Some subtle news, but definitely something that we need to discuss. Pyotr Kochetkov sent down to the minors for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I definitely want to get your opinion on this, Flip, but I think this was the right call for the Carolina Hurricanes. You know, they get Frederik Andersen back off of injury. He plays a great first 2 games since injury. Antti Raanta has played exceptionally well as as a backup goaltender for them as well. And all things considered, if Kochetkov was able to kind of sustain the momentum that he had going throughout his first 15 games. His first 15 games, he was 10-1-4 on the season. Yeah. He had 3 shutouts in that span. He was playing unbelievable. But then his last 4 games is kind of where he took a little bit of a turning point. He goes 0-3-1 in his last 4 games. A tough shootout loss to the Vancouver Canucks as well when your team is up 3-2 late in the third period. Obviously, some growing pains right now for Kochetkov. We know he's going to be back better than ever probably next season, but with the way Andersen now back and Antti Raanta playing as well, Andersen's clearly going to get the run out, in my opinion, because he's been out for so long. They need to, get him to shake off the rust, especially heading into the end of the regular season and going into the postseason as well. So for me, I think it's the right move as of right now.
I think it's the right move too, Steele. And, growing pains should be expected. You know how high I am on this guy, obviously, because I'm personally invested him in a couple of different formats. He's also just proven that he can get it done. And I think the Carolina Hurricanes are playing this right because they know who's their guy moving forward. They have Kochetkov under contract for a very friendly deal. Don't have the digits down, but it's something like, 2.5 or 3.5.
I think it was like $2 million for 4 years, something around
those lines. Something like that. And, he had his struggles, like you said, and he let in a lot of soft goals. And this is not his fault. It's actually his benefit. The Carolina Hurricanes allow, one of the teams who are the stingiest on shots against. They are very good defensively. In some of these games, it's almost like, he had 2 or 3 shots in one period, and then he lets in 2 or 3 goals. Is that because he's not getting enough action? It shouldn't matter. He's got to stop the puck. But these are part of the issues with a young goaltender. He's proven he can get it done. Also, these Carolina Hurricanes need to kind of show what Antti Raanta and Frederik Andersen can do. What if a team comes knocking for either of these goalies down the stretch? I don't know what the future holds. A big-time injury somewhere. If you're a GM and you lose a goalie, Steele, where are you going to go knocking? It's the Carolina Hurricanes door with 3 good goaltending options. So I think this is the smart way to play it for sure. If you're a Kochetkov owner, though, and obviously I've been out there telling you to go do it, this is a tough hand to be dealt if you've invested in him and you don't have an option, a minor spot steal or in a keeper or dynasty situation. But it's just how it goes, man. Frederik Andersen, like you said, going to get the run out. So make sure you go out there and add him if he's out there, or even make a move because you know how good Carolina is.
Yeah, exactly. And I me, I made a deal for Kochetkov a little while ago, and I got a little bit. I got the N word of that stint where he was playing great. the tail of it. And the last 4 games, he has not lived up to that expectations I thought he had. So as of right now, I'm definitely going to hold on to him for a little bit. I could put him in the NA spot and just hold on to him, see what happens. But
Yeah,
I'm fortunate enough to hold on to him right now where I don't need to make a couple of moves for goaltenders. So
sure.
I've got a few goaltenders in the bag right now that I have trust in. So
Must be nice.
We'll see what happens with Kochetkov. But
yeah,
let's get over to Evander Kane before we get to big time bets.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Definitely a player that the Edmonton Oilers need right now. I don't know exact confirmation or exact details, but I believe he was getting, trying to get cleared by doctors so he could return back to practice or return back into games. So I don't know if you have any information on that, Flip, and what your take is on Evander Kane.
So I believe he's now practiced with the team twice. So he is back to practicing. I don't know what level. I don't know if he's in that non-contact jersey. Something tells me it's not that kind of injury that you would play a non-contact jersey in practice. If you're back on the ice, you're back on the ice to play and to participate basically fully. This situation for me, Steele, is absolutely massive on the ice and for fantasy owners because say what you will about the weaknesses about the Edmonton Oilers. Evander Kane back in the mix in what's already a deadly top 6. He's going to start to get time. Just we mentioned sometimes, Steele, what other players can do for their line mates. Playing on a line with Connor McDavid, or if they match up any kind of combination on the power play unit of Draisaitl, Kane, and McDavid, you're going to be able to get so much opportunity opened up for you with the free ice that Connor McDavid makes. I'd be honestly going out there and trying to get a hold of Evander Kane. He's going to have a very big second half for the Edmonton Oilers, and this is just huge for this team, Steele. Seriously. He also, very quickly, Kane was tied for the playoff scoring lead last season.
Yeah.
22 goals and 39 points in 49 regular season games after being signed. He was one of the best players in the NHL in the second half in the playoff, Steele, and I don't think enough people are paying attention to how good he still is.
Yeah, and obviously when you're playing
that's
with Connor
impressive
McDavid,
right there.
It's very impressive, but Connor McDavid could do that for a lot of players out there.
Good point. Thank
you.
You.
Top line,
That's
but
why
you're
my guy.
You're right. You're right though. Evander Kane has so much potential for this Edmonton Oilers team. He brings so much to the team as well. It's not just the goals and the playability that he's able to do, but it's the physicality and the the physicality.
He plays with edge.
Exactly. Plays with edge. He's able to get under people's skin, create power play opportunities for his team as well, which is huge come playoff time when you get some power play time. So Evander Kane definitely should be back soon. Hopefully better than ever. And hopefully continues to play great alongside Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Let's get over to big time bets real quick. But first, I got to let you know about our partners. This episode is also brought to you by Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 again last year, January, when Flip and I started on the podcast. And I definitely wanted to start the year again with more energy. I felt a little bit groggy and tired every morning, and I hated taking pills and vitamins. It's not my thing. AG1 is way better. It's just a tasty little powder with some water. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. So exactly what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics to help you start the day off right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, and even your aging. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health problems and issues and ended up on a very complicated supplement routine to recover from it. And it cost him over $100 a day. That's just way too expensive. And Athletic Greens is perfectly priced for you. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Again, it's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. I like to take it in the morning right when I wake up. It makes me feel replenished and refreshed to start my day. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, I'll say that one more time, athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. So make sure you go hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love and all the support that our listeners show us every single day. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we can return the favor at every episode, at the end of every episode with big time bets. We're trying out here. We're trying ourselves to make some money. We're trying to help you win some money as well with these big time bet opportunities. Flip, I'll throw it over to you. You had a big night the other night with the Avalanche and the Panthers.
Appreciate that. Almost squeaked out, a perfect evening. We were very close, ranting in off the board. That's okay. You and I are picking up steam. I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe right now we're picking at 65% or better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, Steele. Let's pick up and have a second half for us. If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to the well. Matthew Tkachuk is on fire right now.
Yeah.
And when I looked at this game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, I wasn't fully ready to go ahead and sprinkle on the Panthers, but if I had a little bit extra money in the bank, I would. This feels like a bit of a tough spot for the Leafs, bit of a letdown game, tough one against the biggest rival they have in the Boston Bruins. I know they're so good this year defensively and otherwise, and the Panthers have been up and down. Matthew Tkachuk's going to continue to get his. Whatever happens this season for the Florida Panthers, he is a beast fantasy piece, and he is just a good hockey player. The hits are down. I looked at his stats. Hits are way down this year for this player, Steele, and maybe because he's carrying a bit more load for this Florida Panthers team offensively. 5 goals, 8 assists in his 7-game point streak he's on right now. 22 goals, 34 assists this season. Give me the Tkachuk anytime assist for my first pick of the night. Feels like good money. If it goes up to 1.5 Steele, like he's got to get 2 or more assists, I might back up off it, but I'm that confident. 8 assists in his 7-game point streak. Yeah, I like this pick, Matthew Tkachuk, anytime Apple.
Yeah, he's been setting up his teammates. He had 3 assists the other night against the Buffalo Sabres as well. So he has been great. I might have to sprinkle on anytime assist for Matthew Tkachuk as well. But I am going to be taking the Maple Leafs on the money line against these Florida Panthers. Look, it's a back-to-back situation for the Florida Panthers. True. I'm not sure if Sergei Bobrovsky plays the back-to-back or if it's their backup goaltender right now, whoever it is. I can't remember his name right now, but nonetheless, I agree with you. It was definitely a very big letdown for the Maple Leafs when they lose 4-3 against the Boston Bruins, but I thought they played a hell of a game. I thought they were spectacular out there. Great physical game against a rival in the Atlantic Division. They get scored on in the final minute or 2 minutes in the third period.
Oh, yeah. No, they battled.
It was a good game, but a tough loss nonetheless, and I do like the Maple Leafs in this situation. Matt Murray's played great. The offense is clicking again. Matthews got a sweet goal against the Boston Bruins. Beautiful. I think the Maple Leafs offense kind of pulls out the win here against these Florida Panthers. So that's my first pick of the night. I'm also going to go to another Canadian team for my second pick.
Sure.
I'm taking the Jets on the puck line. I'm there right with you with these Winnipeg Jets, probably ahead of the Maple Leafs as the top Canadian team for a Stanley Cup contending team this year. I'm going to take the Jets on the puck line against the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens just, Sam Montembeault has been great, but I expected, again, another offensive blowout from this Jets team.
I am going to cop out fully and take the Jets on the money line, minus 190 right now. I know it's bad. I won't be wagering on it straight up. I'm going to include it in a little parlay of bets. I'm probably just going to parlay my 3 bets tonight, Steele. They should smash Montreal. They're looking so good, and I know Montreal's been a little, they beat the Rangers. That's impressive. Nashville 4-3. This is not a good team. They're figuring out what their identity is. I'm going to continue. I keep saying this, guys. Down the stretch, if I lose against taking a good team like the Jets against Montreal, I'm okay with it. Like, honestly, Jets are that good. I'm with you, Steele. That's my second pick. Winnipeg on the money line. They've also, the last couple of games head-to-head, what did I look at this? They've won the last 3 against Montreal. I'm with you. Jets money line, second pick. And if you don't mind, my lock of the night is definitely my favorite pick on the board tonight. And after looking into the numbers between the Columbus Blue Jackets and Nashville Predators, I like it even more, Steele. 7 out of the last 9 between these two teams have gone over the number. And when you look at the last few matchups just on each side, Columbus, 7 goals, Detroit against Carolina, 8 goals, against Tampa Bay, 9 goals, Nashville against Buffalo, 8 goals, Montreal, 7. You know where I'm going with this. This should be a high-scoring game. I obviously would lean Nashville. I'm going to say 5-2 Nashville tonight over the number.
I like this pick as well. Definitely adding that into my parlay. That is actually close to my lock of the night as well. I am taking the Predators on the money line against the Blue Jackets team.
Did you say puck line again?
No, money line.
Okay, I was like, you're going off on the puck line.
Taking the Predators on the money line against the Blue Jackets. Look, the Blue Jackets came out really hot the other night against the Detroit Red Wings. They 4 goals in the first period. I believe they still ended up winning that game 4-3 or 5-3, whatever the outcome of the. Nonetheless, I definitely want to take the over in this game as well. But my lock of the night will be the Predators on the money line versus the Blue Jackets. I do like all 3 of your bets, so I might just create a separate 3-game parlay.
I don't know if you just jinx them like I like to jinx you, but I'm feeling that parlay, Steele. It's going to pay decent too.
I'm confident with your picks, so I'm definitely going to add a couple into my parlay. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, available Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you subscribe and follow us. Appreciate all the love. Thank you so much again for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.